big difference.
Look, there's no defending the chaos around it, but again, the basic principles are worth sorting out because this is not going to end now. It's going to continue. We need to figure out how we view this. So
that's right.
You're making the case that we need to let in these refugees, not just to repay them for helping us, which I think is a valid argument, but for national security reasons. So why would it help us from a national security perspective to let in refugees from these 7 countries?
Well, let's be clear, we're not just talking about refugees, but the thing is we're in a fight. And what this executive order
does... We're
not
just talking about refugees.
Right.
But people
this executive order bans everybody who wants to come here from 7 different countries.
Right.
15,000 Iraqi soldiers and Peshmerga fighters have given their lives fighting ISIS, the Islamic State. President Trump's #1 national security priority is to defeat the Islamic State. I agree with that, right? The people who are right now, what you and I are talking, doing the house-to-house, nose-to-nose, kill-or-die fight against the Islamic State on the ground in places like Mosul. If you've ever been in an urban gunfight, that's no joke, right? These guys are the ones who are taking the fight to ISIL.
Right.
We just told them and their families they're not welcome in the United States. General Petraeus testified before the House Armed Services
Committee. For a short period of time.
No, not at all for a short period of time.
I mean, it's a temporary order.
I mean, okay, until we sort this whole thing out? I mean, is there...
No, isn't it by definition a temporary order unless I'm misreading it?
Yeah, but he's got the executive power to do what he wants after this.
Okay, but...
And let's talk about the immediate consequences, right? General Al-Qatani is
that's one of 7 countries. And I understand your point. We can easily... We're also talking about Yemen and Somalia and Iran and countries that we are not directly involved in. And so...
But that's a random list of countries. Let's talk about that.
It's not random. It's a list...
Random. I mean,
no, it's the list of countries that the Obama administration deemed dangerous, as you know.
It's not an exhaustive list. The comparison to the 2011 Obama thing is a total canard.
You can carve out anyone who helps the U.S. military abroad get special consideration. I don't think there's anybody who disagrees with that.
This is kind of my point, Tucker. If you start walking down the exception path, all right, so let's carve out...
Well, why wouldn't you do that?
Okay, so what about the families of all the Iraqi military people who fought with us?
Well, I don't know. It kind of depends.
Well, sure, but okay, so let's carve out an exception for them. What about the Kurdish Peshmerga fighters in Syria?
But you're not asking for an exemption. You're trying to stop the whole thing.
The way this thing is written, right, and this is what happens when you send a couple of political guys into a telephone booth to write national security policy, and you don't talk to your director of your Secretary of Homeland Security, retired Marine General, who apparently you found out about this on television. What you get is an order that is so poorly written, so over-inclusive and under-conclusive at the same time, that we can talk about amending it, but you're trying to amend it.
But that's not actually, with respect, you're being a little disingenuous, because that's not, I don't think you're making an unreasonable case here, but that's not the entirety of the case you are making or have been making. So last year, you wrote this piece, an interesting piece, saying basically we have a moral obligation to bring in Syrian refugees.
I believe we do. I know you don't. I think that's completely...
Well, it's not that I don't believe it. It's that no one has adequately explained to me where that moral obligation comes from and how it would help America. So I'm giving you the chance.
Yeah, sure. So, look, I mean, again, it helps America because, 1, we're in a fight, and 2, we're being asked to lead globally against ISIS, against Islamic extremists, right, who are, by the way, celebrating this ban openly, right? ISIS and the Taliban are thrilled about this. And I would encourage you to have some more security guys on the program.
I've talked to a million security guys, and your opinion is one among many, but the idea that ISIS is going to hate us and act against us now that Trump has issued these orders...
They already hate us. That's not what I'm saying. They already hate us. This is an aid to recruiting, right?
Well, they don't seem to have a problem with that already.
Yeah, they kind of do. I mean, if you got 15,000 Iraqis who've been willing to die to fight these guys, almost all of whom are Muslim, yeah, they have a recruiting problem.
Okay, so you think that they're going to dislike us more because of this, but what about our moral obligation? That's the part I don't understand.
Not just dislike us, they will get stronger and we will get weaker. I mean, when you tell the commander of Iraqi counterterrorism... No, it isn't. We just told the commander of Iraqi, General Al-Qatani, the commander of Iraqi counterterrorism forces, his kids are living in the United States right now because they're under terrorist threat. He's in Iraq fighting. Under this EO, according to General Petraeus, who knows what he's talking about, General Qatani is not allowed to come see his kids.
Okay. For a temporary... Okay, look.
But you're going to ask this guy to carry the fight against our biggest enemy and tell him, oh, for 90 days, don't come see your kids? I'm a dad, you're a dad. Come on, you wouldn't stand for that.
Yeah.
That's not hurt feelings.
You know, governments do things like this all the time.
No, they really don't.
But you're not answering... Again, this is why I'm accusing you of being disingenuous, because it doesn't answer the question... Why does the United States have a moral obligation to let people from Somalia come here? I'm not against people from Somalia, but you haven't made an affirmative case for why that's good for our country. You're talking about Iraq and the families of the people who are fighting on our behalf. And I think that's a fine case. I don't know if I agree, but it's not stupid. But Somalia or Yemen.
Thank you so much.
No, I'm serious. Like, what? No, but like, this is about 7 countries. What about the others?
Let's do this. Somalia or Yemen. Look, we're facing the largest refugee crisis in the world since World War II. Our allies are under strain in Europe. Our allies are under strain in NATO. Our allies are strained around the world. America has a traditional role to step up and lead in a crisis like that. It's very hard to lead in a crisis when you say, you know what, we want everybody else to do the work. We're not going to pitch in here. I mean, you're undermining American moral leadership in this situation.
That's not true. You can pitch in a countless number of ways without inviting the people to come live into your country in public expense.
We're talking about a tiny percentage of people. And by the way,
then how many?
There's a lot of stuff here that says, I mean,
how many refugees?
Taking what, 10,000?
Sure, but how many should we take in? At what point will we have done our duty?
I mean, duty is a very loaded word here.
How many should we let in?
I mean, I would argue for a pretty large number of people. You would argue for fewer.
I don't know what I would argue. I'm asking you. You do it for a living. Well, how many refugees?
I mean, I think given the current vetting process and what it can take, you could do about 100,000 people, maybe 200,000
per year.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. But
and you would do that to help those countries or to help our? I mean, look. Here's the point. We could get virtually anyone in the world to come here who wanted to come. Why wouldn't you say, let's figure out the people who will help America?
I'm
Maybe we need some more software
anymore. I mean, we can get the top talent in the world except for anybody from these 7 countries.
Are you arguing that letting in 100,000 refugees from Syria or any of these countries would be to the economic benefit of the United States, to the moral benefit? Like, what is the point? That's all I'm asking. What is the point?
What's the point? You're taking in people who
are... people you can feel good about yourself? Or like,
no, it's not so I can feel good about myself.
Then why?
Of course not. No, in the face of the largest refugee crisis since the Second World War, the United States has a leadership role to play. And by the way, let's not talk about these people like they're total social burdens. I mean, Henry Kissinger came here as a refugee.
All social burdens.
Albert Einstein came here as a refugee.
Then if you're making, I just want to know what you're saying. Are you saying that if we let in 100,000 refugees per year, it will help the U.S. economy? It will assuage our guilt? I mean, like, what is the point? Okay, then what is it about?
It will ultimately, I think, help the U.S. economy. At very least, it's cost neutral. There's a lot of information out there.
You think it's cost neutral?
Yeah, I do in the long run think it's cost neutral.
How long will it take to become cost
neutral?
I
have absolutely no idea.
So it's a guess?
It's not a guess. It's an estimate. I mean, look, like, do you know?
No, but I have some sense of what the costs are, and they're high. They're high. I mean, so you have to give a kind of countervailing explanation for why we'd want to do this. And no one ever does, other than to say, well, you know, it's our role to lead in the world.
Oh, come on. That's a complete, you're building up a strong man and burning it down. You know that.
No, I'm actually not. I'm asking, and I really am asking a sincere question. I've asked it night after night. Why would we do this? Well, because we have an obligation to this, because the Statue of Liberty tells us to do it.
I'm not sitting here moralizing about the Statue of Liberty. I think this is in our strategic interest. We are fighting extremists who are telling everybody in the Middle East, ISIS has a simple message. You have 2 choices, right? You, average Muslim person in the Middle East, have 2 choices. You can live under our rule and fight with us against America, or we'll kill you. And what I'm saying is the United States can offer a 3rd choice.
Which is come here?
Which is stand with the United States. And it sends a hell of a message to people.
And in exchange, if you're going to come here and go to our public schools?
Of course not. But to say none of you can come here, to say... And we're not just talking about refugees. I mean, you're making this a very narrow argument.
No, I'm not. I'm actually talking about immigration.
We just banned immigration from 7 entire countries. 2 of them are the front lines in this fight. We just told everybody who's standing with us, you know what? We'll let you go kill and die in Mosul. We'll give you the bullets to do it. We'll send our special forces guys to go back you up. By the way, there's some tough conversations happening between friends of mine who are embedded with Iraqi forces and the Iraqis are working with right now.
Because their expectation was to move here after.
No, because, I mean, come on.
Well, what do you mean? Come on, you just said that. So the tough conversations, I'm sorry, you don't get to move to the United States at the end?
Of course not. No, it's why don't you trust us enough to say, why don't you believe that any of us could potentially come here or visit your country on a student visa or anything else? And oh, by the way, why are you helping ISIS? General Hertling, I'm serious. Get General Hertling, my old division commander.
I don't take that. With respect,
phone calls.
I'm sure he is.
He's getting phone calls from Iraqi colonels and generals, and they're on the phone saying, "Why are you helping the enemy? We are fighting together." Have my buddy Matt Olson. He used to run the National Counterterrorism.
So I assume that if unfortunately I'm being told we're out of time. If this order, though, if you're successful in your lawsuit, the ISIS recruiting will slow.
I think some damage has been done, but yeah, we can patch it up. I'm serious.
Okay.
I'm serious.
Mr. Green, thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.